Hello.
Hello.
There we go.
Sorry about that.
That's cool.
My washer dryer had to finish its cycle,
That's
and otherwise it would have been bumbling in the background.
cool.
Do
Nice.
you think Joe Rogan ever has that problem where he's got to wait for his washer
I hope
dryer to
so.
finish so he can do his podcast?
I hope so.
How have you been, my friend?
Yeah, been busy. Yeah, I've
Busy?
start. I've
In
started Twitch.
lockdown?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. I saw you've. For those who are unaware, TaylorMade Aiden Taylor has started his very own Twitch channel.
Yes. I was inspired by Lord Gideon Grey, Madker, and Jörn Simmons to get started, and I did my first live stream Wednesday.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm playing Tomb Raider 2.
And you're still playing Tomb Raider 2?
Yeah, I'm not doing like a speed run of it. I'm doing like more of a casual thing, but showing off little not glitches, but like things here and there you can do to speed up levels.
Yeah.
So like skips and stuff. It's been fun. Yeah, the response I've had for that has been well above what I expected.
Oh,
I
well,
thought
don't get too
maybe.
comfortable. WWE are going to come along soon and take away your login. And
Oh yeah, no, I'm
yeah,
already waiting for the letter to come through.
yeah.
But yeah, I was expecting maybe like 4 or 5 people to come through, and I had 66 unique viewers.
That's pretty impressive considering it's Tomb Raider 2 and it's a like super old game. I
Yeah.
imagine most of the Twitch audience probably wasn't alive when it came out.
Oh no, some people from the wrestling school actually um, joined in the chat, and the amount of people that were like, "I wasn't born when this came out," I just oh.
Yeah, that's when you really start realizing your age is when you talk
Oh,
about games that didn't, to somebody who didn't exist when they came out.
that makes me feel old, and also when I get things like, "Oh, this album is celebrating its 20th anniversary," and I'm thinking,
Yeah.
"Oh, like Linkin Park's Hybrid Theory is 20,"
Oh,
and that just makes me think, I remember getting given that by my cousin because he didn't like it, and I was 9 at the time.
yeah.
Oh, and people only know Linkin Park now as the soft rock U2-esque band, and I'm thinking, no,
Oh, Hybrid Theory, no.
yeah. How have you been though, dude?
Same old, pretty boring lockdown. That's the thing with lockdown. Like, you have no stories to tell. Every day kind of like blurs into one.
Yeah, it's
Um,
scary how quickly they go by as well.
I was saying that, like, it's not. I always think like, oh, lockdown sucks. Like, I could be going to the zoo if it wasn't for this lockdown. And then I realized, like, I'm not going to go to the zoo even if it wasn't lockdown.
Yeah,
It's nice to have the option to go to the zoo, but I'd never probably take advantage of
yeah. I went out today, and today was the first day I actually felt like a lockdown since we're in 2.0.
it. Yeah.
I don't know if it's just the weather, but yeah, no, it's great timing. Yeah, lockdown hasn't affected my life at all. I'm living the same life I would with less wrestling.
Yeah, that's the other big downside is not just wrestling. Well, we can't participate in it. It's
Mm.
also, it's everywhere. Like you only get WWE and AEW and a few other independents putting out material at the moment. Oh, of course, New Japan. Um,
But it's not
but
as regular.
it's not as regular, and of course, you don't have the fans in the arena, which
No.
I don't care what anybody says, takes away from it somewhat. So
Hmm.
yeah, wrestling, even watching it, has been a bit dry recently. Um, just
Yeah.
it's difficult to get excited, and yeah, the atmosphere has definitely gone out of a lot of the shows. Man, Royal Rumble is going to be the weirdest event without a crowd counting down.
Yeah.
I know they've
Oh,
got
they'll have a.
the virtual crowd
I
now.
was gonna say there'd be a virtual crowd just going. It would be like in WWF Warzone or something. Just 10,
Yeah,
9.
disembodied voice.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. I hope they get the robotic referee voice as well. That would make it worth watching. Um, yeah, I used to love the Royal Rumble so much, but I haven't watched that in 4 years, 5 years.
And like, I don't know if it's just time, but it's really hard to like. I used to be able to remember pretty much all of the Royal Rumble winners
Oh yeah.
back. Oh, this year this guy won it, and this year that guy won it. Drew McIntyre won it last year,
Oh cool.
I want
Oh,
to say. Year before that, I wouldn't be able to tell you who won it. Seth
I
Rollins, maybe. I don't know.
I honestly don't know. Should we do that as a subject then?
What's Royal Rumbles?
Yeah, like what was your first Royal Rumble that you watched?
See, I came in pretty much watching wrestling at the exact same year you did. I think it probably would have
Okay.
been the 2000 Royal Rumble,
Okay, yeah.
which the Rock won. Well, technically, the Big Show won because the Rock's feet did hit the mat first. There's like blatant video footage of the Rock's feet hitting the mat first before the Big Show went out, which, in hindsight, really makes the Rock kind of seem like an asshole because he was there saying, "I won the Royal Rumble. The Big Show's a big whiny liar." Blah blah blah. But the Rock must have known that his feet did hit the ground. So in kayfabe, the Rock's just lying to the people, and somehow he's the babyface in all of this.
I'm 2000 isn't the best memory, like if for my wrestling knowledge that's like a weak spot for me. Was The Rock a face at that time?
The Rock was a huge face. This is, I'd say, probably coming into his absolute peak as a face.
Okay. Because that Royal Rumble is a good Royal Rumble, but I always remember the stuff around that show more so than the Rumble match itself.
Oh well, there's a fantastic match. The street fight between Cactus Jack and Triple H
Uh-huh.
almost overshadowed the Rumble itself. It's absolutely
But
excellent match.
if you said to me Royal Rumble 2000, I immediately think of Taz's debut.
Oh yeah, and that.
And the Hardys versus the Dudleys in the tag team table match.
Oh yeah, that as well. Yeah, that whole show is absolutely loaded.
Yeah, and that for a Royal Rumble show is so rare that the matches around it almost, I dare I say, overshadow the Rumble itself.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is a awesome show. But that Rumble itself is really good, and I wouldn't say it's a perfect Royal Rumble, but it's one of those ones you can look at, and it's got its stages, it's got its key story throughout, and then you've got the other mini stories in between, like Kai and Tai constantly interrupting.
Yeah, I remember. It's Funaki and Takamichinoku running out for the first couple of times, and then I think it's Bradshaw chucks Taka out with such ferocity that Taka's face just bounces off the concrete on the outside.
Yeah.
And I think his nose just got obliterated, and then from then on, it's only Funaki running out to interrupt.
Yeah, and then
Taka's been taken away for medical treatment.
Every 5 minutes or so, Jerry the King Lawler asks to watch the replay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a really good, like for a first Royal Rumble, you could, like, that is a damn good one.
Yeah, it's a very easy watch.
Yeah.
Like if I was gonna give anybody a Royal Rumble pay-per-view, first one to watch, just purely because of the entertaining matches around the Royal Rumble, as well as the Rumble itself, I think I'd give that number one.
Yeah, if you can only watch a Rumble match itself, it has to be 2001.
Yeah, I think you're right. That is one Stone Cold Steve Austin.
And that is like one of the few Rumbles where I can name who started the match, what the key stories were. That one is a clear. You have your sort of mid-carders in the opening doing it like wrestling fast, quick, cool moves. Then you've got the hardcore stuff in the middle.
Yes.
Then you got your main eventers at the end.
Yeah.
And Drew Carey comes out, and you
there's
got the story.
No wasted time in it whatsoever. There's no like lull in the middle where it's just kind of a bunch of lower mid card guys beating each other up and just filling up the ring.
Hmm.
until one of the main eventers comes out. It's just this one's absolutely, there's no fat on it whatsoever.
Yeah, and you got the storyline of Kane being the unstoppable machine. Uh, yeah, that's a yeah, that's a good Royal Rumble as well.
It also had Mr. Perfect return in it as well, I
No, that
think.
was 2002.
2002.
That was my first Rumble.
That's an excellent
Um,
Rumble as well.
yeah, that one, that was the Triple H eliminating Kurt Angle last.
Yeah.
You had Mr. Perfect. He returned there. Goldust.
Yeah. Godfather as well, I want to say.
Yep.
It was really
You know,
weird in that they told you beforehand who was going to be returning rather than it being a surprise, which is kind of cool, but you kind of still want surprises in your Rumble. I think always.
yeah. Um, I'll be honest and say I don't remember a single match before the Rumble itself, which I guess I'm just going to quickly Google what
I
do
wouldn't be
you
able to tell you either.
any matches. So who was the champ at the time? Chris Jericho had just won the undisputed. So
Yeah, because they had that really disappointing or overshadowed match at WrestleMania that was completely overshadowed by Rock versus Hogan.
and who did he defend against? It's got to be like one of the people he beat in the previous pay per view. Like I don't know, would it have been Stone Cold again because he got screwed? Was he the
Might have
main?
been Stone Cold, or it might have been The Rock even.
Okay, let me just quickly Google this. Um, yeah, I don't remember anything. The brand split wasn't a thing at this time.
No, it came in afterwards.
Yeah, here we go. So your opening match was Spike Dudley and Taz as a tag team.
Ugh.
Remember them? Against the Dudley Boys. Uh, uh, what? Just a second. So Spike Dudley and Taz versus the Dudley Boys for the tag team championships.
Yeah.
And Spike Dudley and Taz won. They were the champions.
Yeah, you don't remember them being champions. It was really
No,
random. Like, yes, they filmed together because they were both in ECW, and they're both
no.
short. But
Oh, I see why I don't remember that. Stacy Keibler was with the Dudley Boys. That is what I remember.
I completely forgot she was with the Dudley Boys.
Oh no, I remember all that.
Considering the
Yeah.
Dudley Boys are in kayfabe supposed to be completely inbred, small town hicks.
Yeah.
Stacy Keibler is not like one you'd associate with. But, yeah.
I think the constant joke they went with was she likes wood.
Ah, brilliant.
Yeah.
Genius attitude era comedy right there.
Yeah, so that went 5 minutes. Okay. William Regal versus Edge for the Intercontinental.
Oh, that might have been solid.
Yeah. Trish Stratus versus Jazz.
Yeah,
That was
that'd be
probably really
solid
good.
as well, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, but only it was only given 3 minutes, 4 minutes. Those, yeah. Ric Flair versus Vince McMahon in a street fight.
Oh, of course. Was that? No, that wouldn't have been that one with the iconic image of Vince coming up with the
pipe.
the pipe. That was
No, that was Hogan, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was Hogan.
Mania.
Yeah.
You were right. It was Chris Jericho versus The Rock.
Yeah.
And then the 30-man under. Yeah, that was. Yeah, I remember that Rumble clearly because it was Goldust and debuted, and he was the second entrant, and then let's see, who else? Were they any other big names too? Oh, that was the one from Maven eliminate the Undertaker.
Yes. And
With
the Undertaker just beat the hell out of him, and I think he smashed his head for a popcorn machine. I want to say.
And there, that was yeah. Any other Rumble memories you have?
Those are the main ones that stick out in my mind. And honestly, from then on, each Rumble subsequently seems to have been diluted a bit more. You often get the Rumbles where you know who's going to win, or at least you know it's going to be either one of these two guys.
Yeah.
Have you ever had a Rumble where you were surprised by the winner, or a winner that shocked you?
Let's have a think. I don't know.
I don't think I think the last one that really shocked me was when Nakamura won the Rumble.
Oh, I didn't even know he won one.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
That's why probably one of the most forgettable winners of the Royal Rumble, because he lost his match at the subsequent WrestleMania. Which,
Who did you wrestle?
sorry,
Who did you wrestle at Mania?
oh, AJ Styles in what was going to be a
Oh,
showcase match, but because they had that awesome match in New Japan,
yeah.
and they thought, oh, this will be very much a repeat, and it wasn't awful, but it was just
Oh,
the
is that where
letdown
the
thing
low
that.
blow?
Yep,
Is that? Oh, okay.
yep. AJ
Oh,
Styles kicking people in the balls. That was the height of it.
So I'm looking through a list of winners here now, and the one that sticks out to me because I think it was like one of the first ones that so I never ordered pay-per-views growing up because they were really expensive and 1 in the morning, and as a kid, your parents aren't going to let you spend 40 quid to stay up at 1 in the morning. So 2011, Alberto Del Rio.
Oh yeah, yep.
I
Oh yes, I do recall that one. It's when Santino they did a double feint. Santino was the last one eliminated. He'd been knocked to the outside, and he
uh-huh.
comes up behind Alberto, and he's got the Cobra ready,
Hmm.
and then Alberto throws him out. That was a
Yes,
great double tease. Um,
that was the first time I'd seen that happen. You think the Rumble's over, but there's someone on the outside,
yeah, I
which
think Alberto's music was still playing at that point, so definitely, it wasn't impossible that Santino would eliminate him. And God, can you imagine if they'd been that brave to go with Santino winning a Rumble? He was
well,
over as hell. Like they probably could have done it and made something out of it.
uh-huh. And at the time, I was a big Santino fan, and when it happened, I leapt out my chair, and then I wasn't an Alberto fan at all. I,
No.
I, yeah, every time I was just like, no. And then when he won, I remember just being angry because it's not a good Rumble. It
No.
was the 40-man Rumble.
Oh.
It went on forever, and that was the only bit of it. I think that's the one uh, where the Nexus were in it, and
Oh
they
yeah.
were fighting with the whatever the new Nexus was called.
It
But
was called New Nexus.
yeah,
They got their ideas from naming, like from Nintendo naming
the
their
Super
console.
Nexus.
Yeah, the Super Nexus, the New Nexus, the Nexus 64.
They could have had 64 members in it, and yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just remember there was that. CM Punk was in it, and he constantly had members of the Nexus eliminate people for him, and it was a great storyline.
Yeah, that was clever.
But the match went on for like what felt like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
It went on way too long, and
I don't think it's impossible to book a Rumble to be good all the way through if it's 40 people, but 40 people definitely makes it more difficult, I imagine. Well, I would imagine.
yeah, and that finish where you think it's over and one man comes out and tries to eliminate the person at the end is like the most overdone Rumble finish now.
Yeah.
Every Rumble I've ever seen since then has that finish. Every Rumble I've been a part of, I'm pretty sure, has had that as the finish.
Yeah.
And yeah, what other one was it? I think 2009. I have a distinct memory of this. Have you ever heard of the Mandela effect?
No. No.
So this is a phenomenon in which something happens. So it comes from it got its name when Nelson Mandela passed away. It was on the news because
Yeah.
obviously he's Nelson Mandela, but at the same time, thousands and thousands and thousands of people came forward and said we thought he was already dead, and they all described his funeral the same way,
Wow.
and they were all convinced that it was happening. So the Mandela effect is when a significant amount of people all think this one thing happened, but it clearly didn't.
Yeah.
So the 2009 Royal Rumble, I remember watching that pay-per-view, and I remember at one point Jerry the King Lawler says into the mic on commentary, "Where's Randy Orton? He's supposed to be winning this thing." And Randy Orton did win that Rumble, and I remember all that happening. And I've gone back and watched that twice, and I don't remember. I can't find that voice clip, but everyone I've seen watched it with, and that we all have the memory of that happening.
Yeah.
and I can distinctly remember the tone, and yeah, it baffles me.
So this is the kind of thing where like people describe in Star Wars, where Darth Vader says, "Luke, I am your father," but in reality, he doesn't say that. He says, "No, I am your father," or something slightly
Yes,
different.
yeah, correct. That's the Mandela effect. Yeah.
Wow.
So I have this distinct memory of people in the ring beating them up, and Randy Orton's not aware on the camera shot, and Jerry the King Lawler just screams, "I'm like, where's Randy Orton? He's supposed to be winning this thing." And then I was like, "How? I wonder if Randy Orton wins this match," and then he wins it.
It's not
So,
impossible that they cut it out in subsequent
oh, that's a
on the
good shout.
network. So they, they
Yeah,
have been known to do that.
they could be screwing with me.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah. And you always get the when it comes to Royal Rumble, you always get the what's it, the pub quiz question: who was the first man to win a Royal Rumble match?
Which I want to say without looking was Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
Correct, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That was before it was like a you got to go to the WrestleMania.
Yeah.
It was
Have
just
you ever? I think I might have seen clips from that or watched. Maybe it was the second one I watched. But have you ever seen the very early Royal Rumbles?
no. The oldest one I've seen is probably the '92 Rumble because everyone talks about how that's the best Rumble ever and this and that.
That's with Flair winning,
Yeah.
going the
Um,
distance.
yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
well, he came number 3. Yeah.
yeah, that's a good Rumble actually.
What's your? Do you have any like fondest Rumble memories?
I think it's probably got to be. I do enjoy Kane beating up Pete. No, it wasn't
Rose?
Pete Rose. No, it wasn't Pete Rose. It was Drew Carey, wasn't it? That he was
Yes.
about to beat up. Yeah. Well, basically, Kane's entire run that Rumble was,
Yeah.
and I was a Kane fan as a kid because Kane
Ah,
was,
yes.
he attracted lots of like new fans just because of how like cool and interesting he looked and how different he was to the rest of the roster. Like
Mm-hmm.
7 foot tall, like slasher movie monster who wears a mask and is like he's completely covered. He's got this cool ring attire. He can set the turnbuckles on fire. He does all the coolest moves. He jumps off the top rope, like clothesline, choke slams people. He tombstones people. His brother is the Undertaker.
Yeah, his clothesline. I always really liked his top rope clothesline.
Rolling clothesline.
Yeah. Yeah, Kane's. The very first wrestling action figure I ever got was a double pack of Kane and Undertaker, and I bought it because I couldn't find any single ones of Kane.
Bonus. You get the Undertaker there as a nice Brucey bonus on the side. So
Yeah. I was in Smith's toy store just before lockdown started, and they had a Survivor Series 2002 Kane, and I have no wrestling action figures at all. But when I saw that, I was like, that would be cool to have. I don't know where I would keep that or what I would do with that, but I
yeah.
like that is Kane to me. 2002 Kane, full mask. That's it to me. That's the coolest thing.
And you said you don't have any wrestling action figures. Is that just me, or is it like who's that wrestler who collects action figures? Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins, I think, have a podcast all
Yeah.
about wrestling action figures.
Uh-huh.
I can't fathom spending that kind of money on tiny little bits of plastic. I couldn't. They've like literally got collections of like hundreds, and some of them are worth, because they're like limited editions or whatever, they're worth thousands and thousands of dollars to collectors.
Yeah, like I understand it because behind me where I'm sitting right now, I have Amiibos and I have Funko Pops, but I don't buy things for the sake of collecting. I only buy things that I think look cool.
Yeah.
And have some kind of meaning to me. So in that sense, wrestling action figures, I can see like if it's one of the throwbacks where it is like the 2001, 2002 Kane, like that to me means a lot because that was my childhood.
Yeah, childhood memory.
But I'm not one of those guys that looks at, oh, it's, this series and I need to collect all of them, which It's a hobby that people have, and that's cool. But it's not something that interests me.
Yeah.
But their YouTube channel's pretty cool. I like it. But they like different era of wrestling to me. They like the, early.
New generation, I suppose, would be there.
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff they go for. They go for like the Mattels and the mid to early '90s stuff. But what about you? You say it doesn't interest you at all?
No, like this is the thing. I have so little wrestling merchandise altogether. Like,
Mm.
if you walked into my apartment, you probably wouldn't know I was a wrestling fan. Oh, well, to be fair, I've got my wrestling posters up on the wall,
Yeah.
and like photographs of me wrestling and the rest of the team. But no, I don't really have any merchandise whatsoever. I think I have a couple of Rev Pro t-shirts and a Shinsuke Nakamura baseball cap. I really liked actually.
I think wrestling merchandise for adults, it's kind of hard to do. Like if you look around, I'm looking around my flat now to see what I have that's wrestling related, and like you say, is I have like 5 DVDs. Actually, no more if you consider documentaries, but yeah, shows, 5 DVDs. I have a book that's a photography book.
Oh yeah, I've got a couple of wrestling autobiographies.
Yeah,
As
but
well.
like as you say, it's mainly t-shirts. Like I have a drawer full of wrestling t-shirts that I've bought from wrestlers at shows, or when I go to a Rev Pro show, they will have like the event t-shirts, and I always pick up one of them.
Yeah.
Figures and anything like that, no, because they're either made for kids or like I was in HMV the other day as well, and they've recently they've it's strange. They've gone from being like a music shop to like a collectible store now.
Yeah, I've noticed.
So they have WWE, not action figures, but like figurines, like statues.
Yeah.
And it's like the Undertaker in a classic pose, or AJ Styles in his pose, and that. And I was like, that'd be cool, but I'm not interested in WWE at all. If it was a Jushin Thunder Liger, I would so be up for that.
Yeah.
Like, because that means more to me now. Maybe if I was to go, there's a shop in Japan called Todoken, and they specialize. This is something I've actually thought about collecting. They have like old New Japan figures and actual wrestlers' masks.
Ah.
Like they have a wall of ring worn masks.
So they've got like Tiger Mask and.
Oh,
that's pretty cool.
Everyone you can think about that's wore a mask. They have them there. They also have wrestling gear. If you want to buy like, I don't know, Luke Gallows singlet that he wore at a Japan house show for Raw, it's there. But like the masks and that, like when I go to shows, like when I met Tiger Mask, he had masks. And I'm thinking about it now, just going, it would be cool to have just little mannequin heads with like a Tiger mask and a Rey Mysterio mask. And I think that would look cooler than, I have my Kane action figure on the wall.
I think that's the only way to have a mannequin head in your apartment and not seem creepy is if it's got a wrestling mask on it.
Yeah. No, my old mannequin head with my knives and forks in it. That didn't, that didn't go so well. But yeah. Oh yeah, Rumble memories. How'd we get onto that from merch? Action figures. But yeah. Oh yeah, Kane. Peak Kane was 2001. Have you ever gone to a pub and watched a Rumble?
Don't think so. I know, like, because Guernsey, I don't think allows pubs to stay open that late, so there's never ever been any viewing parties there. University, I don't think I mean, I've stayed up with, we've had a Rumble party where we've had, the lads around, which is always fun.
Yeah,
probably one of the best ways to watch wrestling with the lads, and the lads tend to not be, devout wrestling fans, but they'll love a Royal Rumble, especially if there's beer involved.
What Rumble did you do that with? Do you remember?
Oh, we did the worst Royal Rumble. It was that Royal Rumble where Roman Reigns won, getting booed constantly.
And what, 2015?
Yeah, everybody wanted Daniel Bryan to win. come out, and then Rey Mysterio came out, everybody booed him.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a really dry Royal Rumble to do that. But
Yeah.
how about you?
So when I was at uni, there was a bar called the Orange Rooms. I think it's still there now, but they did for every pay-per-view a thing. But they started with WrestleMania 31.
Yeah.
So that was my first experience watching wrestling as an adult with other people.
Was it popular? Like, did they get a
Oh,
lot
it
into that?
was, for WrestleMania, it was super busy. And the atmosphere for that, because I remember, I have distinct memory of, there's a video of it somewhere on Facebook as well, where I called during the pre-show match. I looked at my mates, I went, Seth Rollins is going to cash in, and you guys are going to laugh. And it happened, and everyone threw drinks in the air. We were all celebrating. And
Yeah.
it was like England won the World Cup when Seth Rollins won. It
Yeah.
was amazing. But yeah, so the only other shows that drew as big for the bar was the Rumble. So the one after that was the Triple H, the one where it was for the championship.
Oh yeah.
And for that, the Orange Rooms did a thing where you could pay, I think, £1, and you draw a number.
Oh, and you get a
if,
random, and that would be your entrant.
and if you won, then you got tickets to go watch Raw in London.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good prize.
And I remember my mate drew, I think it was number 10, which ended up being Sami Zayn. Or was it 10? Or that might have been the year after. I'm not too sure.
He wasn't gonna win.
Yeah. But yeah, that Rumble was when we all knew, that's one of those ones we all knew who was gonna win it. Like from the very beginning we knew Triple H is gonna come out and he's gonna win it.
Yeah.
But that didn't stop us from loving it when it happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, that whole show, I remember. I have a funny story about that as well, actually. The going to the Orange Rooms with friends. If we could say well, I was gonna say, do you want to save that for if we ever do a like watching wrestling with friends topic, or
No, we can always rehash that. You know.
So I want to say it was TLC. Was it TLC? No, Money in the Bank 2015. Let me see if I get this right.
Again, I wouldn't be able to tell you who won Money in the Bank that year. I can tell you all the Money in the Bank, but now it's become so diluted, and of course they have like 2 Money in the Bank contracts, one for Raw and SmackDown, and then they have one for the women's now. Yeah.
Is it this one? Oh, which one was it? Sorry, I'm just googling. Which pay-per-view was it? Oh, was it TLC then? Which one was it? Because let's have a look. TLC 2015. Okay, yes. So TLC 2015. Okay. We'd been going to the Orange Rooms every month since that WrestleMania. We were all loving it because wrestling seemed to just, it was on a kind of upswing.
There's been are you like me? Like you feel like there's been like 4 or 5 of those. Wrestling is coming mainstream again, and then it like never really peaks and just kind of fizzles out.
I never felt it was going mainstream, but I felt like I could tell the independents were going to rise.
Yeah, I felt like that when Punk had his pipe bomb promo. It felt like we could be onto something here, and then it kind of fizzled out.
I felt it then, and I felt it when the ICW documentary came out. But so, me, I was big into the independent. I wasn't big into the independents then, but I was big into the wrestling stuff because it felt like it was a bit on an upswing.
Yeah.
We were going to these shows, more people kept coming, and it felt like it was, growing a little bit. But we'd convinced 10 mates who had never watched wrestling. We were like, no, wrestling's getting better. The WrestleMania was great. You should come to one of the shows with us. And they were like, okay. They didn't want to wait to WrestleMania. So they were like, oh, we'll come to, I said to them, wait a month and come to the Rumble. And they thought, no, we'll go and watch TLC. And, TLC, you think, those kind of matches can attract people because the Dudleys, Edge and Christian, and the Hardys matches
Yeah.
are infamous, and people like those and things like that. So they come along. So it's me, the usual group, and 10 people that had never watched wrestling. So there were about 16 of us. We had a booth. We did all this stuff, and then the show started. And this was the women's revolution stuff. So remember that, and they categorized all the women into groups because you couldn't just have a women wrestler; they had to have a clique with them.
Yeah.
And the pre-show match was Sasha Banks versus Becky Lynch, which you think would be a great match.
Yeah.
But before the match, Sasha Banks, Naomi, and Tamina had to cut a 10-minute promo where they basically, I don't know, I could be wrong, but it felt like some writer had gone up to them and be like, okay, the New Day are popular. Sasha Banks and you two, you need to be the New Day.
The female New Day.
So they came out, they were doing the things where they were telling jokes and everyone was going, oh, and this and that. And literally, as they were cutting their promo, 7 of the 10 walked out and didn't come back. It was that bad. And yeah, then
I find a lot of like non-wrestling fans, like that is one of their main complaints is, there's too much talking and not enough action.
Yes, yeah, because it doesn't feel like a sport to them if you're just going to stand there and talk in the ring. And
yeah.
So yeah, 7 of the 10 walked out. Then the first match of the proper pay-per-view was the New Day versus the Lucha Dragons versus the Usos in a ladder match. And that match was really good.
Yeah, I can imagine.
The other 3 people that were there were like, that is great. Because it had Callisto did the code red from the top of the ladder through a ladder to one of the Usos. And like everyone lost their minds and it was great and this and that. And everyone was like, yeah, this is great. And then the match after that was Rusev versus Ryback. And everyone just in a normal match. And everyone just went, ugh. And then the match after that was Alberto Del Rio versus Jack Swagger in a chairs match. At which point the other 3 left. And yeah, and that was the last time that people ever came with us outside of our normal group to go watch wrestling. They didn't even come back for the Rumble. That's how bad the Sasha Banks, Naomi, and Tamina promo was.
I think that's an example of how difficult it is to hook new fans.
Like, it shouldn't be though. Like, how hard is it to go, okay, you're starting a show, like the New Day, Lucha Dragons, Usos thing, perfect way to start a pay-per-view.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you've never seen a New Japan show all the way through, have you?
No.
One of the best things they do that everyone sort of points out when they watch them is there is a flow to the show, and it builds. Like you have your base. Every match starts with the young lions, the trainees.
Yeah.
Then you have the veterans. Then you have like a match, and it builds and it builds and it builds. And then the 3 main events is always excellent, fantastic, and then one of the best matches you'll ever see in your life. And it's just like, that's how you do it because that makes sense, doesn't it? But when you watch a WWE pay-per-view, it's like, oh, you have to have a good match. Then you have to bring them down with a bad match. Then you need a good match. Then you need to bring them down with a bad match. And it's like, why? If you're on a high, just stay on a high.
Yeah, I can understand them not wanting to follow up a high-flying ladder match instantly with another high-flying ladder match. You obviously have to have variety, and you can't have spot fest after spot fest. But at the same time, it doesn't mean it has to be a bad match or a slow plodding match.
No, but like if you think about if you're in a bar, your first match, people aren't going to be that tipsy, so they're not going to be that into it. But the more they drink, the more they do get into it.
Yeah.
And by the end, they're going to be loving it. But no, that was, which is why I think the Royal Rumbles work so well in a bar.
Yeah.
Is because if it's the main event, everyone's so not wasted or drunk or anything, but they're going to be so relaxed and all that. They're going to be so up for it.
The inhibitions will go down.
Yeah. And they do the countdowns and they do the way, even if it's someone they don't like. They're like, oh, look, yay, it's this guy.
It's that guy.
Yeah.
I don't know who that is, but yay.
Yeah. So,
That
I
sounds
think
really fun, like watching a pay-per-view in a bar. I think I'd probably, at this point, I would probably rather watch WrestleMania in a bar than actually go and see it live.
I mean, will bars be allowed to stay open until what 10 in the morning wherever they finish now?
I mean, how long has WrestleMania? Well, the last few WrestleManias have been like something ridiculous, like 5, 6 hours long.
I honestly don't know. The last Mania I watched was I don't know. I don't know. Was it 31? Or did I No, I saw 30, which is the one where they were like, "Oh, we have 10 billion people in the arena." Was that 32?
Every pay-per-view.
No, the one where they
um,
were in Texas and they were like, "Oh, we have 100,000 people here."
I'll be able to tell you. Oh, do you know any of the events? Can you remember any of them?
Okay, I'll just quickly Google it here. Yes, it was 32 was the last Mania I watched because it had. Let's have a look. Yes, it was that one. Because I saw. Did I see that in a bar? Yes, I did because everyone was so up for certain matches, and then that was that was a weird pay per view because every match felt hyped. No, sorry, no matches felt hyped, and no matches delivered.
What was
The
the
only one,
event?
the main event was Roman Reigns beating Triple H.
H, of course. Oh,
And then they had the Rock segment where he completely destroyed the Wyatt family and beat Eric Rowan in 6 seconds, and Baron Corbin beat Kane in a Royal Rumble, and the Undertaker Shane McMahon half-an-hour match that I don't remember anything about except
yeah.
one spot. The only match I remember liking was the Triple Threat Women's match, and that was about it. Yeah. Oh, the ladder match was what it was. All I remember.
That's the
Sin
one
Cara
where
did.
Zack Ryder won.
And then lost it the next day.
Yeah.
Chris Jericho was. It was AJ Styles' WrestleMania debut, so everyone thought he was going to have a Wrestle Kingdom match, and
It was another disappointment.
eh, it was what it was.
It was
You
against
know.
Jericho, wasn't it?
Yep.
Which again,
Fair.
you think, dream match.
Yeah, but
Sometimes you don't get enough time, or
I
stars clash, and it doesn't work out as you'd expect.
I think this is one where I heard the story from Chris Jericho about how he was saying to Vince McMahon, "Can we do this because it will make the match better?" And Vince said, "I don't care about match quality because people have already bought their tickets." So yeah,
Wow. You can't get away with that now, Vince, because nobody's buying tickets at the moment.
yeah, at the League of Nations versus New Day, and it was Wade Barrett's farewell thing, and he wasn't even in the match. And then at the end, the Legends came out and just beat up everyone.
Why can't these young kids get over? I wonder why. Maybe it's because you bring back Attitude Era guys and always have them go over. Like you said, The Rock made the Wyatt family.
Yeah.
Like jokes. Like imagine if it was the other way around, and Bray Wyatt beat the absolute crap out of The Rock and left him bloodied and over him. Like that might even get some mainstream attention. Well, still is a massive mainstream star, and that would get some attention on Bray Wyatt. But no, just instantly forgettable. People remember, The Rock was at that WrestleMania, but they don't know what he did, who he interacted with.
Well, it's like, yeah, no one remembers that it even happened unless you go, "Do you remember when The Rock pinned Eric Rowan in 6 seconds?" And they go, "Oh yeah, those jokes."
Yeah.
But yeah, if Wyatt had beaten up The Rock, laid him out,
yeah,
all the casual fans are watching, just go, "Holy crap, this Bray Wyatt guy is cool."
Yeah, who's this guy? And Wyatt's a great one to do it because he's got a very unique look. He stands out. This isn't like Baron Corbin beating The Rock. This is somebody that can catch people's attention. And, missed opportunity.